How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com with your favorite show host, Aristill.
Fenurian.
And Wallace L, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week. But first of all, if you would like to get involved with the show, you can easily do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, by following us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or by joining us on our Discord server, which is most easily accessed by going to vtwproductions.com and clicking on our show logo on any of our recent show posts, which should take you directly to our Discord server where you can interact with the show hosts in real time and with the other listeners who happen to be there, and basically get all of the visual gags that we talk about during the show, but you might not see if you only listen to the audio.
Stupid pictures, largely.
Yeah, mostly memeing.
Yes.
Yes, lots of triggers being pulled.
Bang, bang,
Devil
bang.
triggers, specifically.
Oh, boy.
Oh, dear. This has been a fun week for all of us. I think we've all been very busy.
It's been a fun 2 weeks for me, because I wasn't around last week.
Yep.
So, first...
You're busy getting in family fights.
Almost. Yeah, you know, that's how weddings go. If there's no bloodshed, then you can consider it a win. Doesn't matter how good your family is, that's generally how it ends, is a wedding will end in an argument.
Is Uncle Chris going to start an argument this time? Please, no. I don't want to have to break up another fight. Lots of ugly, fat, shirtless men at barbecue grills that think they're better at cooking than they actually are.
Oh, grief,
Yeah.
why?
But the only form of, like, this would get me lynched in America, but the only form of cooking on a barbecue grill is to scorch something until it looks edible. Like, there's no way to be good at it.
If it's not black, you're not doing it right.
Ugh.
Or depending on who you're talking about, it might still need to be mooing.
Well, yeah, that's the other extreme. It's got to be crispy and burnt on the outside and mooing on the middle, inside.
Like, just get it warm, but don't cook it at all, is how some people legitimately eat their meat here. It's worrying. The other extreme is charcoal, and I don't get that either.
I've generally made it a policy to, no matter where I go, to always order medium, because it's the least likely to be screwed up.
Yeah.
It's a fairly good rule of thumb. It might be a little more pink than you're used to, or it might be a little more burned than you're used to, but it's not gonna be charcoal or, just freshly slaughtered.
Like, I actually like my meat well done for my personal definition of well done. But my personal definition of well done is not shared by anybody in the world, apparently. Because if you order well done, then you will get charcoal. And if you order rare, then you will just get an uncooked slab of meat. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but everyone learn to cook steaks and do it properly.
As in, you actually have to cut the thing open and look inside to see how well it's doing at some point.
Yeah, like that's really the only way to get a steak that you like, is to cook it yourself. Like, I don't even understand why people go out to order steak. It doesn't seem like it makes sense to me.
It's expensive too. You seen steak? Steakhouses charge you like $30 a steak.
Yeah,
and that's US money.
Yeah, it's not any better here.
Yep.
And we've got a huge amount of cattle, so we don't even need to import anything.
Yeah, that's what the cows probably literally right next door.
Yep. Oh, boy. Anywho, on the stream today, I'm playing a little bit of TerraTech, which just had its 1.0 release, so we'll see how this goes.
Hooray, 1.0.
Yeah, it's been in early access for 5 years, I think.
The words 1.0 release are starting to make me mad.
Yeah, because it's never... It doesn't have anything attached to it. No meaning is attached to it. 1.0 release just means that, we're willing to open ourselves up to legal recourse now because we're moderately confident.
More
or at
so...
least we've made enough money to afford a decent lawyer.
Half the time it means, okay, we've got the game to a point where now we can just jack the price up by $10.
Or, no. In the best case scenario in the world that doesn't exist, it's at the point where the developer looks at it and goes, yeah, that's a finished game now.
I'm
That
done.
never happens. That never happens.
Yeah.
In the world of patching, that never happens.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single example of that happening.
Oh, boy. Alright, so, I guess we'll just jump in straight to weeks. I've got a fair bit to talk about because I've had 2 weeks of stuff.
Well, that's good because I don't.
Yeah, well, I suppose we'll put the FGO event off for your week. Unless you want to cover everything with magical girls. Even things that really should not have magical girls in them. What have I done this week? I suppose the biggest thing of note I should talk about is I played a bit of Bravely Default, which has been out for a few years now, kicking around.
It's one of the few things that I was actually excited to play on DS while I still cared about playing on my DS.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, it's... Well, let's face it, this is another game which is one metric unit of JRPG. It's your standard... everybody stands in a couple of lines and whacks each other until they fall over type dealy.
Yep. High fantasy setting, too.
Yeah, mostly high fantasy.
I heard the art was really nice, though.
The art is incredibly nice, actually. The game looks great. The towns kind of have this weird pseudo 2.5 effect where it's kind of a watercolored painting type visual style on a 3D model. Which
I see.
Most times looks pretentious and rubbish, but on a small screen it actually looks quite nice.
Yeah, I think that mainly it looks bad when you're looking in the realm of like high fidelity pictures on very large screens. Then all you can see are the mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, when I say mistakes, I mean like brushstrokes and so forth. Like,
yeah,
it's like how pointillism doesn't let you see a picture if you look too closely.
Yeah. So yeah, just along those lines, it's pretty, but it's one generic unit JRPG in terms of the story. Like its priestess is trying to save her crystal and the world because
it's always a crystal.
It's always a crystal every time.
Every genre's got a something. It's always.
Yep. In JRPGs, it's always crystals. Even in a game where it's not crystals, it's still crystals.
Yeah, like the game that JRPG that I'm playing at the moment, Shining Resonance, like it's mainly like things like Dragon Souls that you're trying to get, but
are they
crystallized? Put them into crystals.
There you go.
Yes, they do. They do crystallize.
Yep.
In fact, crystallization is the process by which the Dragon Souls manifest as sort of like pseudo dragons, and it is also when they get the Dragon Soul, they stick it inside a crystal. And then at that point, you're just pursuing crystals. So
yeah. Well, look at the other big JRPGs. Final Fantasy VII, Materia, they're crystals. That's
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy is like the crystals, the crystals game genre, a game franchise. Like everything in Final Fantasy historically has been crystal centric.
Yep.
Yeah, like 1, 3, 4, some motifs in 6.
Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, Crystal Chronicles. Like, and this is just off the top of my head. I could probably go on.
Yeah. In 14, they can barely stop talking about crystals.
Yeah. Every time you stop doing something, it's go talk to the Aetheryte and go do that. And by the way, crystals.
Yeah.
Like the god appears to be a big crystal.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, the god is a crystal.
So yeah, the story, of course, of Bravely Default is the world crystals are corrupted and you need to go and purify them. Because, yeah, again, it's generic JRPG. So what sets this one apart is you only have 4 characters and you basically just swap their jobs around. And it's all your standard Final Fantasy jobs because it's made by Square Enix, so your Black Mage, White Mage, so on like that.
Final Fantasy X-2.
Yeah, more or less. Except without the silly. Or with considerably less silly.
With less pop idols?
No pop idols. At least not yet.
On pirate airships?
Nobody wearing a really, really terrible Moogle costume.
Oh. I had the twist foiled for me in Bravely Default, so I never played it.
Yeah, I'm expecting some horrible twist, and that is probably that the crystals are not actually good or something. I don't know. Or the crystals. The crystals are people.
I've heard it's presented pretty well, but the twist was totally spoiled for me before I was even got my hands on the game. So my interest completely died off from playing it because I already knew the ending.
Don't you hate that?
Yep.
Don't spoilers, everyone. Spoilers are bad.
Okay. No, it wasn't their fault. It was set in earshot of me, and I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was turning to go towards the conversation, and they were talking about it.
Don't spoil it. Be careful when you casually spoilers. Oh boy.
Yeah, it wasn't really their fault, so
Nah.
I'm not too mad at them.
Yeah. So yeah, you swap your jobs around to suit the situation. Each character has their own level as well as a level for the job. Some jobs I've found to be less than useful, like the merchant. Like, you can earn a ridiculous amount of money with the merchant, and potentially late game you can do horrendous amounts of damage with it at the cost of money. But early game it's useless.
Once you get one more roll than the available slots to take into combat, something's going to be inferior.
Yeah. So at the current, my current team is Black Mage, White Mage, Knight, and Thief.
It may be heathen of me to say this, but I actually really liked the job swapping mechanic as it was presented in Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
Like, I felt it worked really well. Like, there weren't any roles that I never used. They all had a really clear and distinct purpose. And swapping between them with good timing on the fly was a skill you could really learn throughout the course of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that they did it about as well as it can be done, I think.
Yeah.
And they actually had for the first time, a Final Fantasy game with a proper coherent tanking mechanic in it.
I know, right? That's, aside from the MMOs, that just doesn't happen.
Good old Snow. Never leave Guardian form. Ever.
Now, if only he could be less Snow.
Once you've played it a bit later, it's more useful to have multiple people able to use Sentinel form. I honestly didn't use Snow very much, but it's useless just keeping him in that form all the time. You're just wasting your time if you do that. But knowing when it's really important to swap to that form is a skill that you develop really quickly. If you care to do so, you can almost get by without it as far as some of the main fights in the story goes. If you only do the main stuff, but if you then move on to the second one really forces you to learn it properly, but it doesn't work quite as well because they've got, 2 characters and a Pokemon for some reason.
What?
Yeah. And the ending DLC. Don't ever forget that. 13-2.
Oh, why?
But the tank busters in 13-2 are much more vicious than the tank busters in 13, so you've got to make sure that you're ready to go into Sentinel form when you need it. Things like the Gilgamesh boss, for instance. Like when you see Gate of Babylon is coming, and it's actually called Gate of Babylon. You need to be ready to tank it.
Yeah. Anywho, so yeah, there's no real tanking mechanic. The Knight gets a passive ability where they can jump in front of a low health ally. That's about it.
In classic Final Fantasy, the ideal party buildup is ninja, 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 healer.
Yeah. Depending on what you're fighting, in this case, it's either ninja, 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 healer, or black mage, black mage, black mage, healer.
Specifically for that, I ban ninjas from any Final Fantasy game I play because it'll just be boring mashing the auto attack button.
Yeah.
Even if it is far and away the most efficient way to get through the game.
So yeah, the other unique mechanic is your turns are a resource in Bravely Default. So you can either defend or default and stock up a move, so you can take 2 turns later on, or you can expend turns early and then spend the turns following just standing around like some sort of gormless twerp. So
standing around like a gormless twerp sounds good.
Yep, yes it does. Let's face it, this is, generic JRPG. Everyone's some degree of gormless twerp. So yeah, it's hard to talk about it because it is just very, very standard. Nothing really new or unique going on here. Until you look at some of the community features, and that's where the wheels start falling off. So
that happens with Nintendo games, though.
Yeah.
You just expect terrible community features, and if possible, you try to ignore them.
You try to, but it's a lot harder in this game. So, Bravely Default has a very high emphasis on Street Pass.
Yeah, the gimmick that never worked in America ever for anybody outside of New York and Seattle.
Does it work in New York and Seattle?
Supposedly,
does it work in Akihabara? Like, I don't even know if it works at all. Like, I don't have any experience to refer to.
That's probably where they tested is Akihabara and just left it at that.
Oh yeah, look at all these people in this area that are going to buy our product. They're all clustered together, and the population density is so nice, and they're going to take this portable thing around. Get to Murica. Dudes in the boonies. I got a 3DS with 3DS features that require Street Pass. I'm never going to see somebody. I'm never going to use these.
Yep. Hey, it works fine in the gadget capital of the world. It works fine everywhere else. Anyway. So yeah, you can Street Pass people and summon them in battle so their characters will turn up, do a big move and disappear, which is just summons.
I see.
So it's nothing special until later in the game where or if you could start street passing someone who is towards the end of the game, where they can just show up and do a massive combo and destroy the boss or whatever you're fighting.
That seems like it would kind of ruin the experience, actually.
It does. It does. The to that end, though, bosses tend to have a stupid amount of hit points, which is really annoying. Because if you don't use that feature, or you don't have anyone good to summon, which in both cases I fall, then you're just going to sit there and plunk away.
Just keep plunking.
You just got to sit and plunk until your white mage runs out of mana.
The longer you have to plunk, the more memorable it is.
Yep. The other option is you can attach a Street Pass friend as an extra equip, which essentially allows you to unlock all the abilities that a given class will learn early. So yeah, you get someone who's played to the end of the game and attach them as an equip. That whatever class you attach them to will suddenly become fully available, which isn't nearly as game breaking, but getting the the top tier abilities early on and can make things a bit easier.
Well, it's passively breaking the game rather than actively breaking it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much strategy is needed on normal mode or whatever, but, like, just taking yourself and putting yourself at a tier you're not supposed to be at yet is taking decision-making away from you because you don't have to do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's chipping your own experience if you choose to do it.
Yep. There's also this town building mechanic which requires Street Pass to get people. Otherwise, it's, sit and wait for 10 hours for them to move a rock. But that essentially stocks up your save points, so it unlocks features and items you can buy there.
So you leave the 3DS on overnight?
No, you don't need to. As long as it's in sleep mode, it'll still rack up time.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, you set it going and just leave it. So that's not too bad. But there's the final bit which really, really breaks the game. And it's a pay-to-win feature, because everybody loves those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really curious as to what the market uptake on those is. Like, maybe there's just a big knot of people we've never met and never heard of who all think that that's just the most useful thing in the world.
It is if you don't want to play the game.
From the very few reports on them from single-player games, it varies heavily from game to game. Like, Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition selling Proud Souls, when they up the drop rate of them by 500% in the Special Edition anyway, is not going to sell to anybody.
Yeah.
But like, something that gives you, like, free levels and stuff tends to sell pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
The Tales of Berseria pay-to-win stuff.
Yeah. In this case, you have the Bravely Second mechanic, because that's what they named the sequel, I guess. What it does is, at any time, you can press the start button and pause the game. And that will make it your turn, or just even in the middle of an enemy attack. And you will have SP, which is second points or spirit points, or I don't know, whatever it was. Some point of description. And yeah, if you just let the game passively rack these up, you'll get one every 8 hours, up to a maximum of 3. Certain abilities will use certain amounts of these points, so your big abilities will tend to use up to about 4 at most. So if you really need to, you can interrupt the enemy's turn and throw out a clutch heal or something if you really need to.
That seems like a fine mechanic so far.
Yep. Except, yeah, these points rack up only once every 8 hours, or you can buy them.
How much do they cost per point, though?
I was so disgusted I haven't actually looked. Let me grab my 3DS. I will
because this is a much sillier story if you're paying 3 points for a free heal in a boss fight.
Yeah.
Or $3 for a free heal in a boss fight.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Let me see. I might actually... Where am I? I'm actually near the... I'm fighting the first crystal. Because there's the boss fight there suddenly takes a big step up in difficulty. It's, hey, you've just fought 3 bosses in a row with no real grinding area in between. Enjoy. You gotta go backtrack and get them grindings. Alright. You can actually also pause it on your turn. Let me see if I press the button here in combat. Use SP drink. Just gotta wait for the internet because the DS's internet is rubbish.
Yes, it is.
So yeah,
the amount of time you stare at your 3DS waiting on the store to load a page is as long as it takes for you to download most things.
What's even worrying is that's a lot better than it used to be.
Nintendo can't internet.
Nintendo does not know how to internet and never has.
People should be afraid of their upcoming Nintendo Online stuff that they're announcing. Like, unless their Nintendo Online turns out to be, we've looked at Sony and Microsoft and are copying what they did, we're in trouble. The second they try and get cute, it's not going to work.
Everything's going to fall apart. Let me see. First one is... Oh, of course. Because, yeah, here's the first one for 65 cents for a point.
So, you're paying 50 cents a point.
Well, yeah. At least that's the introductory price. At this point, it's 50 cents.
Increases in cost?
I'm assuming it does. After the first purchase, which I can only buy 1 point at the moment, it's 50 cents, or 50 US, 65 Australian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's going to go after that, and I'm not going to buy even 1 point to find out.
I see.
Because that's just disgusting. So yeah, what's to stop you buying all those points and then just keeping the game paused on your turn and wailing on the bad guy? Ugh.
I mean, it doesn't seem that bad. It's not as bad as buying free levels and stuff.
No, it's not.
You could do that, and it's very in your face if you're in the pause menu. But realistically, you only have access to that naturally when you have SP points normally, and that's only when you're going to see it or think about it. So it's not that in your face during casual gameplay.
No, it's just got the button at the bottom of the screen at the entire time.
And honestly, if somebody wants to chip their experience that bad, that's their decision, I guess. If they want to be stupid with their money.
Yeah, I guess.
Why?
It's just...
I don't understand.
It just seems like
why do you want to do this?
Yeah, it just seems completely unnecessary to me. Maybe it's just because I put more value onto my money and I'd rather play the game properly, but yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how much you value the experience of playing the game. I mean, playing the game, not playing the game.
Yeah. Ugh. So yeah, other than that, it's an alright game. I'm going to probably keep plinking away at it when I'm stuck downtown doing nothing. But yeah, it is actually quite generic. We'll see. I might splurge out on the sequel if I enjoy it enough by the end. Hopefully they knock off some of that commercial nonsense. Although they do apparently have a cat-based class, so we'll see what happens there.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's the Catomancer. It's cat magic. You throw cats at people.
I see.
That's the best I can gather from it is cats. So if you ever wanted to play as a crazy cat lady in a JRPG. Yeah.
Like, we have Catamancers in real life, the crazy old ladies that chuck cats at you.
Yes, we do.
Is that a thing that happens?
I have seen a cat get chucked at a person before, so I know that happens.
I think I want to know that story.
It's not a very exciting story. Somebody was mad at the cat and threw the cat at somebody else they were mad at. End of story.
Right, so it's the cat's fault.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. What else did I do this week? Hard to... Oh, right. Something I really probably shouldn't have done, and that was read the law book for Battle of Azeroth.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Put it down. Get away from it. Stay away from the
All I can say is this book has not really endeared me to much, honestly. It's Anduin walking around and politicking all the time. And a little bit of action at the end.
It's still leaving it in your head. It's planting WoW seeds. You want to keep that stuff out of your brain.
Those WoW seeds are there. They're
at
more of
least
a
until hype season's done. At least until hype season's done. You need to keep that stuff out of your brain, because the more you're thinking about WoW, the easier it is for one of your friends that are playing during hype season to come up to you and go, you should really come play with us. We're happy. I know you want to play with us.
Now, yeah, I'm glad I don't know any creepy little girls, actually, if they're going to start using words like that.
Oh, I'm paraphrasing and mashing together all the various pitches I get to come back and play WoW all the dang time during hype season.
Oh, I know them. I get them as well.
Everybody who has played WoW since vanilla gets them.
Yaha. So, yeah, the book, it answered absolutely nothing. So, there you go. That's all I'm going to really say about it. It's Anduin walking around politicking and arguing a bit. Although, I don't want to even talk about the events at the end that set Kalia Menethil back in the plot, because just why? She's an undead now, because reasons. But she's not.
The magic special light undead.
Yes. Because the Naru happened again.
When Magic Special Twinkly Finger Undead happened,
I smell Mary Sue incoming.
That's about where you knew we were about to jump the shark. And then Cataclysm happened, and we were well in the air over it.
And things were going in such the right direction when they drove Madan out of the cannon.
Things were going so well at the start of Cata. Then with fun dungeons.
And then they ruined it. So I'm going to... And yeah. What else is... I haven't really done much in the way of anime. I've been plinking away at the Fate Grand Order event, but that's more our Vol's week, so I'll throw it over to him.
Oh, my week, huh?
Yeah, go for it.
So, had a bit of a record setter week at work. So I was very busy and, more importantly, very tired after getting home. So it was another one of those weeks where I couldn't really get as much done as I would have liked to get done. But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything I really genuinely did other than fiddle around on FGO, and there's not really that much. I suppose, I keep poking at Secret World Legends, hoping that I'll suddenly come back to it and find that it's not crap.
It's like picking a scab.
But, yeah, it really is. It hurts too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's... Why would you do this? Like, this is just... It's all everything that I see when I behold it. I'm playing it right now. Everything that I behold is just more evidence that Funcom are drooling idiots. Like, how can you draw the conclusion that this is a good idea?
Because,
my goodness me.
Because throwing loot crates at everything works, because Perfect World does it.
Yep. Like, if you kill a bunch of zombies, you're going to get a bunch of loot crates, and you won't be able to do anything with them. Because even if you do, like, shell out dosh to them, you're still not going to get very much.
What's actually in them?
Junk, as far as I can tell. Like, it's mostly random stuff. Like, you aren't... It's like not pay to win, it's gamble to win. That's the best you can hope for.
Oh dear.
It's... I don't know the specifics of what's in it really. But what's more, if you pay a subscription, you still don't get anything.
Yep.
You just get opportunities to get things, and that's it. Like they haven't changed a lot of that stuff. It's still just as bad as it ever was. They've changed a few things though. They've introduced a different system for loot. It's not enough to fix it, but I suppose I would say that it's better than it was in a sense, because you don't have to carry so much stuff in your monetarily gated inventory, because all the gear has now just been given effectively a power stat.
Right.
And they vary only in affixes, basically. So there isn't like the tanking type one and the healing type one and the damage type one of pieces anymore. There's just the power type one.
Right. That sounds incredibly bland.
Well, yes, it is blander, but it's not bland in a bad way, because the affixes are what you want to focus on anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's got a good affix, then you want to build up that piece of gear. Like you don't want to have to carry around a whole pile of different pieces and build them all up and look for the right affix on all of them. Like that would make what is already an incredibly grindy, almost mobile game-esque level of brutal grind even worse. So I think that's a relatively good move. The problem is that they've botched a lot of other things from what I can tell, and in some cases pretty grievously. When I was last playing this, everybody was new to it. It had just launched.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody had to start from square one, if you recall. It seems that the healer role has disappeared.
Oh.
Because there is a lot of stuff that is just better carried out by a sufficiently skilled tank self-healing, so that you can take an extra DPS, so you can make DPS checks. So there's like that entire role has basically been gutted from the game by, organic development, and there's a total lack of attention to further balance. So yeah, they've made some goofs there. They've also added a Facebook game.
Oh, of course they have.
Because obviously you have to add a Facebook game, right? Why wouldn't you?
Gotta have that Facebook game.
Yeah, it's exactly the same as the Facebook games you see everywhere else. Like, it's pretty much like the missions table in World of Warcraft and so on and so forth. Like, basically there are missions and you recruit agents and you send those agents out to do missions and they bring back little bits of stuff. It's banal and unimaginative the way you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
But it does fill a role, because basically there was a problem where building up your weapons, like, not only were there so many different ones that you had to build up for multiple roles, but in addition to that, you had this issue where there just wasn't enough like raw XP to pour into them, because stuff doesn't drop often enough and that sort of thing. These basically provide you with a venue of just constantly acquiring a trickle of XP to pour into your talismans and into your weapons and stuff.
Okay.
So they're sort of, while it's an annoying little piece of crap that you have to operate in the background that nobody really wants to, it does solve a problem that did exist. And that they could have also solved it by just upping the drop rates, but I guess they didn't want to do that. I don't know what the reason was, but I guess that would affect the ease with which a person can acquire the right affix. But yeah. But by and large, not much else has really changed. The community seems to be a bit despondent. They feel like the game is generally in bad hands and things are not getting better.
Yeah, they felt a lot that way before the Legends transition happened, and when Legends was announced, everyone was kind of generally optimistic about it.
Well, yeah, because there were some things that really needed to be changed.
Yeah,
but
now,
yeah, people are really not happy. That's from what I can tell. The development priorities seem to be all over the place. There's no balancing taking place whatsoever. They are bringing out new content and new regions at a very slow pace, and it seems like there must be like 3 guys who are even working on it. Like there's a lot wrong there. But a lot of the stuff that I liked about it is still intact. Not everything that I liked about it is still intact. Of course, the skills, of course, are just a mess as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, they're not a mess. They were a mess before, and it was a good mess. Now they're pretty much banal cookie cutter affairs. There is a certain amount of depth you can extract from it, but it's there's no, it doesn't operate in the synergistic way that it used to. It's more about, well, you've got this many slots, which moves can you put together that you can actually use in a timely fashion, and by doing so not waste resources. How can you maximize your resource use is pretty much the key.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it looks to me like it's descending pretty rapidly in the direction of cookie cutters.
Blech.
Like there were cookie cutters in the original form, but because the game had such ridiculous depth in terms of builds, you could even years onward, people were still devising new, better builds.
Yep,
that hadn't existed before because it was so complex. But that's not the case here. From what I can tell, there are a handful of builds that are worth a damn, and everybody uses those.
And everything else is just pointless.
Pretty much. Like you. On the other hand, everything else is pointless to the extent that if you're not like a hardcore min-maxer, you can pretty much use anything that you think is cool and not be completely wrecked by it.
Okay, well that's something at least.
And there's also a reasonable amount of stuff that is like you can choose your skill level for the combat. Like if you just want to main dual pistols, you don't ever need to think about your weapon. You just shoot things. Like I looked up online what the common builds are for solo leveling and that sort of thing, and proceeding through the story. And the strategy guide for the order and particular abilities to use for dual pistols just said shoot things.
Just shoot
because
things.
The weapon mechanic for dual pistols just carries on by itself no matter what you do.
Right.
And so you can basically do whatever. At the opposite end of the spectrum, the mechanic for the assault rifle is apparently basically suicide if you don't know what you're doing. You're going to get absolutely destroyed. You can get huge performance out of it if you're very, very skilled and know what you're doing. If you don't, you're going to kill yourself. Most likely. So there are other ones that sort of that are in the middle. Like the shotgun one, basically you can transform what your abilities do through building up various types of ammo and that sort of thing, and there are a few others as well that give you special skills. But so yeah, there are really some good things about it. It's just that the whole premium thing, the whole monetization system, the loot boxes, all of it just hangs off of it like a bad smell. It's really, really quite awful.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be this way. If I could pay their patron subscription, their like $13 a month subscription, and it would get rid of all of the crap, I might pay it.
Mm-hmm.
I might pay it so I can play this game because I enjoy the story. I like the world. I hate horror, but the world is compelling enough in Secret World that I still enjoy it.
Yep.
But the patron thing doesn't get rid of all that crap.
No.
It's just it just throws in your face how bad it is when you don't when you don't pay it. It doesn't actually make it better. Like, you don't get, unlimited mission cooldowns or anything like that. You just get it reduced from like 3 days to 8 hours. So you still can't play it as much as you want. Like, when you're going into dungeons, you don't get access to all of the loot from the dungeon. You just get 8 bonus keys a day to jam into loot boxes.
Oh, really? Yuck.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it would cost them nothing to just make you get access to loot from all the bosses. It would cost them nothing to allow you to replay the missions that you like much, much more regularly. It wouldn't cost them anything to make this system pay off, but it doesn't. And there doesn't seem to be a reason for it. And I think that this is part of why the community is so deeply despondent, is because the answers seem so obvious, but nobody seems interested in implementing them.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's quite depressing.
Very sad.
Yeah. I had thought, like, in some tiny part of my mind that had forgotten what Funcom can be like sometimes, I had figured that the way it was when I first tried it out were just teething troubles. Like, oh, well, they'll see shortly enough that things would be better if they, weren't retards.
That like blissful naivety.
They could just not be retards and everything would be fine.
Nope.
But no, all the retardation is still in place. They've added a few little bits of extra retardation. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that there are some things that are better, like some of the aforementioned system tunings and whatnot. Like, those are improvements over the way it was before. But the core thing that is holding it back, other than the fact that Funcom can't market anything, and so nobody even knows this game exists still, the problems that exist are so solvable and not solved, and it doesn't make sense, because, like, this is not like World of Warcraft, where World of Warcraft is always breaking new ground. Like, they always try things in a very radical way, which offends a lot of people at various points and so on, but that's just how things are.
Yeah, you can't please everyone all the time, but
they try things in a very swingy manner, and they're always basically they're in a mode where they don't have anything to refer to other than their own past.
Yeah.
There's no previous expansion of World of Warcraft in any respect maps perfectly onto a successive one, like, because the composition of the players are different, the player attitudes are different, and so on and so forth. In the case of Secret World, it's like Final Fantasy XIV, right? They did a do-over. So they've got a perfect analog. All of the content is exactly the same in the previous version, so they can quite readily determine whether or not they're making the right moves, simply by looking at the previous one. Okay, so it worked there. Why is it not working here? How can we get the working bits ported over from there to here? Like, this is the simple solution, is to find out what worked and implement that, because they do have a thing that worked previously.
Yeah.
Not like World of Warcraft, where you can't actually go back and find out, okay, people liked this in Wrath of the Lich King, how can we stick that in Pandaland? Like, that doesn't quite work, because the people playing are different, the content is radically different, all the systems are different. Like, that, it doesn't quite work. But here you've got, basic things like, oh, well, people are unhappy that they can't do the missions that they want every day. Oh, well, I guess we can just go back to the old cooldown timer of 24 hours, or I think it's more like 20 or 21 hours, so that you could do it slightly earlier if you got home from work earlier or whatever.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous.
But no, it's 61 hours or 68 hours or something like that.
But why?
Like, why?
Just why? What is the point of that?
It's to slow everything down. But the thing is that slowing everything down is something that you do to your game if it's of benefit to you. Like, if you can somehow make more money because of that, then that's one thing. If you're just, doing it because in theory it sounded like it would make you money, and then it turns out that it just makes people mad, then you undo it.
Yes, you stop doing the thing that makes your customers mad.
it was a change that they implemented to begin with. So the only thing that they need to do is swap whichever variable controls the cooldown back to what it was before. Quite easily done. And there are lots and lots of things like this. And the top lament that I see online from the community is Funcom is driving this game into the ground by basically preventing it from growing. By continually having these sort of oppressive things in it.
Just dumb decision after dumb decision.
There's a hardcore of people who are into it and who keep playing it. But the game is not growing. No, new people are not coming. Like you see if you sort of, I took a brief perusal of the communities, both the official boards and the Reddit boards, which were sort of semi-official. And you're looking at a rate of sort of like one new person showing up in those communities a month.
Wow.
Like, it's really, really slow. The growth of this game is non-existent, and it's entirely within Funcom's control. Number one, they need to do some marketing.
Yes.
Any marketing at all. Because nobody knows this game exists outside the people who played it when it was originally launched way back when. And for those who don't remember, it was launched into the worst possible environment. Basically, there had been an internal cataclysm in Funcom, and the guy in charge went to jail.
Oh, right, I forgot about that. Yeah,
so
he did.
The game launched quietly without much fanfare because basically the company was in legal trouble. They needed to get the game launched. There's no two ways about that. They had to launch it, but there was no way to cover up. There was no way to do that without drawing attention to the damage that they had taken PR-wise. So basically, they had the worst possible launch, and Secret World Legends was the opportunity to redo, basically, and they
made a mess of it.
Huge. Yeah. So it's got a lot of draw for me, this game, because so much of it is still the part that I like. But it just, every time I play it, it finds a way to offend me.
Yep.
Like, oh, I want to go and do this thing that I was doing before. And I paid them a lot of money. I was subscribed for quite a while. But it's not worth a damn thing to them. They don't care at all. So, yeah, it's really very frustrating because I can see so much of what I liked still there, but can't use it the way I want.
Yes.
But I really want to be able to go and do those dungeons. Like, I want to be able to con my friends into playing it with me. That's what I thought I'd be able to do with Secret World Legends.
Yeah, no.
I'd be able to. My friends who wouldn't play a subscription game, I'll finally be able to con them into playing with me, and maybe they'll get hooked on the world and the setting and the fact that it's an MMO where you can actually use like modern day firearms and that sort of thing. Like, these things are a big draw to some of my associates. I had hoped that I'd be able to drag them in, but no. What you actually see when you start playing is that you log in and there are adverts, like sometimes multiple layers of advert windows to get you to buy things and to subscribe and whatnot. And then when you go into a dungeon and you try and do a dungeon, if you're fortunate enough to get a group that isn't speed running it, you're still going to be in a situation where every time you kill a box, you get do you want to roll for a piece of loot by using a loot key window?
Good grief. Have they no shame?
That's not how you promote a game. End of story. You're doing it wrong. Everything about this is done wrong. They have fixed some things based on how it was when I first tried it. They haven't fixed enough things.
Yeah.
There are enough things that have improved that I might just do story missions. Like, I might just come in and do some story missions once in a while, since I don't have to pay for that. But you aren't going to get any money out of me like this, Funcom. You have to make me like your game to get money out of it. You can't use it to, hack me off. That's not going to work. No.
Like, if they don't want to spend any money on marketing, they could leave it in the rut of community marketed games. If there were any hooks for people to use to market it to their friends, like, there's nothing you can say without putting a bunch of sticky stars on this thing that say but. So there's all these systems but these systems are all going to get in your way if you decide to play with me. Like, that's not going to help people spreading it around their friends.
Nope.
If you subscribe, like, the subscription is like almost as expensive, if not as expensive as it originally was. when it was a subscription-based game. But what you actually get for that subscription is tiny compared to what you used to.
How much do they want?
Worse value. They want $13 a month for 30 days of patron status. But patron status grants you like additional ability points and skill gain. It grants you bonus currency. And when I say bonus currency, I mean by like 20%, 15% increases. That sort of thing.
So piddling amounts.
Bonus keys for dungeons and lairs and scenario. Quick travel is free instead of costing you resources. And it reduces the cooldown on your missions. Like, right. For that package, I might pay $3 or $4.
Yeah,
This isn't $13 a month material. And the real kicker, the thing that a lot of people feel was a real kick to the nuts when they came from other games, is that because of the way they've set up their currency, there's no bonus premium currency for being subscribed. The way there used to be.
A lot of games do that. If they've got their own little funny money in the game, every month they'll give you an allowance of extra funny money.
As far as I can tell, there's no funny money allowance here. They regard the marks of favor, the boost to marks of favor, to be close enough to an allowance, because there's an exchange rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like from what it looks like, you can buy 1 unit of premium currency for like 260 odd funny money. I mean, non-funny money. You can buy funny money for 260 non-funny money.
Right.
But yeah, that hooks into some of their other problems, though, right? Because that particular type of funny money, not funny money, because there's two types of in-game currency. There's anima shards and marks of favor. But marks of favor, like the primary way to earn them seems to be to do daily challenges and stuff. But to do daily challenges often requires you to do missions. So if you are a free-to-play player and you need to earn marks of favor, then you do your missions. But because you're on a 3-day timer, the next day you have to do harder missions, because you can't just do easy ones to fill it out. And then the next day you have to do even harder ones, because you've got to find, enough missions to do to fill out your quota, because your other ones are still on cooldown. And so basically it becomes more and more of a chore as time goes on, because you've got to do missions that are relevant but not time consuming. So yeah, it becomes a huge headache to earn them, because it's actually really kind of annoying to try and earn them, because you lock yourself out of earning them easily by earning them easily one day. So yeah, it's kind of, it's a lot of the interlocking systems suggest that they weren't very well thought through.
No.
At all.
It really doesn't sound it.
While I had hopes for this game when it was an appalling mess on launch, I'm not really so hopeful anymore, because the rate of change has been so low and I expected it to be an awful lot higher.
Yep.
I'm not sure why things are the way they are, but they are. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's their old system.
Yeah. Yeah, like, a lot of the things were better about the old ways of doing. There are some things that are worse, and there are a handful of people in the community who do like this version better, in certain respects, but that's usually a very limited and heavily caveated like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a very specific type of casual player that plays for a very specific amount of time that model would cater to. But their old model of just pay a sub, buy DLC X packs that are 6-ish hours of content, and get you pretty cool stuff and new game mechanics. That was a fairly good model, I thought.
Yeah, apparently they weren't making any money with it, though.
Yeah.
Like none. $0 were being made.
I heard it didn't do so hot either, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it as well, but ultimately it was a case of they did no marketing, therefore they made no money. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
It seems to be a running theme with Funcom at the moment, particularly in regards to this game.
Like, how's that? Is that Conan thing theirs?
Yes, it is. It's doing okay. They release big DLC packs every now and again, which don't necessarily add too much to the game. But Yeah, it's got a solid fan base to it. But I don't know.
Is that
Give it
the
another.
Floppy Dingus game?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that is the Floppy Dong game. Okay,
That's the Floppy Dong game. We shall see, though. I don't trust them in the long run. I'm expecting them to come out with some ridiculous map pack or, I don't know, something. Like, here, if you want to get the other half of the map, you need to give us $30.
Oh, is that all you want?
Yeah. At least when Ark puts out a new map, it's a fully fleshed out new map.
Anyway, so I'll leave that particular topic there. But yeah, it's like I keep going back to it because the things that I like, I can smell them there.
Yeah.
Underneath everything else, it's just that it's like they're nice to you, they're nice to you, they're nice to you, and then as soon as you start slipping into a false sense of security, they just slap you around the face.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's not fair. Why you do this? Why you do this?
Do you hate us that much, Funcom?
Anyway, what was I doing? Right. Next thing. The new event. Prisma Causeway renamed in English to Prisma Codes, which doesn't make any sense. Not that the previous name made a great deal of sense.
No.
But this name possibly makes less sense. But yeah, so that came out, and I had my 46 tickets and 120 Saint Quartz ready to blow on it, and blow it I did, and I got, out of all the Saint Quartz, I got Nursery Rhyme. That was the only thing worth a damn that I got. And I already have Nursery Rhyme, so it was a modest increase to her Noble Phantasm output was all that I got. So I wasn't particularly amused by that. Wasn't particularly happy. Started burning tickets. I think I burned some 20 odd tickets, and then I finally got Ilya, which I am quite pleased with because there is a lot of salt online right now from people who did not get it and who spent a huge amount of, in some cases, real money. In some cases, people have been saving for months and months and months and months for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very low on tickets now, but I got the major thing that I wanted.
Is Ilya like super good, or is that people's waifu? She's a very good, solid single target caster, and I missed out on Sunzang, so I don't have anybody for that role, but now I do. So
excellent.
Now I've got a decent AoE caster, and I've got a decent single target caster. So yeah, so like everybody that pulls Ilya on the gacha, I'm probably going to jail. I think that's how it works.
Sounds about right.
So yeah, I haven't raised her level at all because this event, while I was looking forward to this event because of the number one, the opportunity to get Ilya, and number two, because I'm a big fan of the series, because I like the story actually. I'm not really so hot about the sexualization of minors that seems to constantly creep in.
Going to jail.
Yeah, going to jail. I wish that I had more time to prepare for it because I feel massively underarmed for some of these challenges, because for some strange reason they decided that they had needed to make some of the bosses vulnerable to Buster, some of the bosses vulnerable to Arts, and none of the bosses vulnerable to Quick.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, because why not a Quick boss?
Goodly number of my female servants, because this is basically a ladies only event. Well, ladies only plus Astolfo
and
plus
Teach
Chevalier, and the reality is that everybody is going to use Waver even if he's at a disadvantage because his buffs are too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so a lot of my roster has been cut out by the simple fact that I don't have very many good, well-prepared good servants for Buster and Arts who have got the right types to work in these particular bosses. So as a result, Summer Martha has been doing a huge amount of work, and honestly, so has Rider Martha been doing a huge amount of work. Like, they've been my workhorses so far this event for pretty much everything, because they're very, very solid at what they do. Ryder Martha's got a bit of solid sort of baseline support that she can grant in addition to being good output because she's an arts type rider with a Buster Noble Phantasm, so basically can play into either role.
Mm-hmm.
Where Summer Martha is just, you know, nigh indestructible against anything that's not an Avenger or a Berserker, and hits things really hard with her fists, which seems to solve most problems if you do it long enough.
Especially if you punch things through Tarask.
Yes. I presume it's supposed to be a JoJo reference?
It's very much a JoJo reference, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so they've done good work. I wish that I'd had time to get Summer Kiyohime leveled up a bit more, because she's apparently really, really good against one of the bosses. And likewise, I wish I'd had a chance to get Summer Ultria leveled up, because she's also really good in any event where arts is good. And likewise for Nursery Rhyme. Like, all of them are sort of like at middling levels in frustrating fashion, so that they're like almost good enough to use, but maybe not quite. And
I have to a little bit more.
If I just had a little bit longer to power them up, then it would be really effective. I would have been like with an extra, like if this was an event happening in October, which of course it's not going to, because October is completely glutted with Halloween stuff.
Yes.
If it was happening in October, I would have been able to absolutely wreck this event. Like, I would have been able to destroy it, because I would have been perfectly prepared. But as things are, I'm basically duct taping solutions together again, which seems to be the state that I am permanently stuck in with this game.
Yep.
But
I had a little bit of success on the gacha, at least. I got one spin where I got Saber, as in classic Artoria, and Elena Blacksky. And then the gacha did its usual thing and immediately took a giant dump on my hopes.
Yeah, your second roll was pretty legendary.
Legendarily awful.
I've had worse rolls because my luck has historically been very, very poor, although it's taken a sharp upswing lately, although I don't know how lucky it is to spend 100, do what, a total of 60 pulls before getting anything worth a damn. I don't know how good that is, but
yeah.
My luck historically has been much, much worse. And yeah, your rolls your second roll on this banner would have been in my top 3 of awful 10 pulls.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness.
I'm still debating if I want to do another 10 pull on the Ilya banner just to get Ilya.
Well, the thing is, next up is Nero Fest.
Yes it is.
Like,
everybody's favorite red narcissist.
The thing is that Nero Bride is sort of like the ideal last piece for my setup.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I had a sort of a high single target damage Saber, which also has good support potential, like that would basically mean that I would no longer be running into situation after situation after situation where I just have no solution to problems. Because anytime that I see too many Lancers, I just can't solve the problem.
Yep.
Because I have to lean on basically Caesar, and Caesar's not female, so in this event that really doesn't work. Fast Saber is not a good magical girl.
No. But neither is Teach.
Yeah, Magical Gentleman Edward Teach will appear later in the event. I haven't made that far through the event yet. I've just finished taking down Magical Guru Helena Blavatsky.
Yeah.
but now the thing is, I expected this whole story to be really, really silly. It's not.
No.
I think that the Uruk got a hold of the guy who was writing the plot, because pretty much every one of the magical girls in this magical girl land that you meet is deep in the midst of suicidal depression.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not a good place for magical girls. Like, the entire world, rather than being sort of like what it appears on the surface is sort of like a happy fantasy land for magical girls to live out their dreams, but it turns out that it's more like a depressing resort for magical girls who can no longer exist in their worlds because real world came calling, basically. Like it's basically Madoka world.
Yeah.
every magical girl that arrives in this particular reality Marvel world is a magical girl who's basically burned out on life, burned out on hope.
Yeah.
So yeah, I expected something a bit more lighthearted, and that's not what I got.
You got
Summer was lighthearted.
crushing depression.
Then again, I don't know the mechanism by which the story will be solved. Maybe it will be silly in the end. Who knows?
Maybe
the end of the summer event was certainly unbelievably silly.
Incredibly silly. I don't know if a silly ending to this event happens. It would be probably the worst case of mood whiplash you've ever seen.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how to get from Helena telling me about how her library is full of the souls of dead magical girls. I don't know how you get from there to magical gentleman Edward Teach. Like, how do you traverse that gap? How does that happen?
Teach happens. Unfortunately, Teach just shows up and ruins everything.
For a 2-star, he gets a lot of face time.
I swear they're like writing him just to torture the fan base.
Well, the thing is that he is the fan base.
Yeah, he is.
He's basically the real, like, Gudao and Gudako are supposed to be the player avatars, but the reality is that Edward Teach is the real player avatar here.
Yep.
there's no getting around it. That's who he is.
Yep.
He's the player.
This is you, players of Fate Grand Order. Now go and take a shower.
I hope you weren't too attached to your dignity. But yeah, so I'm not sure how you traverse the gap between the sort of the hellish reality of Magical Girl world. I don't know how you get there to, Magical Gentleman Edward Teach.
Yeah.
But somehow they must traverse that gap.
I'm not sure I want to go there.
I just did it for funsies 10 pull and pulled 3 Boudikas.
Ugh. Just wow.
Out of my pulls that I did, I think I pulled Serenity like 8 or 9 times.
Who would be a good servant, except you don't need her.
Yeah, like she's like the budget version of Shiki. She's better for stall than Shiki is, but as far as damage funneling goes, she's not as good as Shiki is.
Yeah.
But
Boudica
is just bad.
Yeah, she's irredeemably bad. There's really no way around that.
Yeah.
There's a saying that's very popular and very annoying in the community, that there are no bad servants because every servant has a use in a particular niche.
No, that's
but Boudica is one of those that is just so far below par at everything that she does that it's really hard to use her effectively. Mm-hmm. Like it's not that her abilities are useless, it's just that as a whole she's a subpar package.
Yeah. Actually, Ari doing that for Funsies 10 pull and getting 3 Boudikas means it's probably Bizarro Luckland at the moment, so maybe doing a 10 pull at the moment might not be a bad idea.
I don't know. I'm saving everything. While the temptation always exists for me to try and go for Noble Phantasm level 2 because that's so advantageous if you can get it. Pretty much any servant. And to the point where there are some servants like Ultria. If I'd gotten a second Ultria Summer, she would have roughly doubled in power. Like, that's just how effective it is.
Yes.
But generally speaking, while that temptation is there, the lure of Neurofest is much, much stronger for me. I'm not going to roll any more on this banner. Even though I'd like another copy of Ilya, the odds are not great, and I want to at least be able to throw the few tickets that I have left at Neurobride because she's too good to leave. So another strategic one. Like, I'm not that attached to the character of Nero. Like
yellow ticket.
The fact that Nero is the historical character who is probably most well known for the persecution of Christians, even though he wasn't the worst.
He turned Christians into candles.
It just sort of gets in the way of me enjoying her character somewhat. But
good grief, another Medea. Okay, never mind. I'll just leave it at that one ticket.
Yeah, just quit while you're ahead, dude.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
But yeah, so
only for someone you don't care about.
as a strategic pick, Neurobride would be a really, really strong addition to my roster. So Yeah, I'm gonna go for that. And then I don't really think that there's much else that I want with any sort of immediacy. At that point, it's sort of like saving for more strategic pulls, like Merlin, for instance. Like, I don't want to run Buster Crit, but the reality is Buster Crit is monstrously powerful.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather run Art Stall or Arts Crit or something like that. I like my Art Servants more. And I've got better pieces for arts. Like Tamamo plus Summer Altria is a god tier combination. Like, you're unstoppably powerful at that point if you can get the cards to fall right. You can kill anything effortlessly. You know, once you've got it all set up. Getting everything set up the way you want can take some time, but yeah, it's a really effective combo. But the reality is that the most effective combos that you can deploy pale in comparison to Buster Crit when Buster Crit is at its most effective.
Yeah.
It's just the grim reality of the way the cards fell when they brought out Merlin. No, he's too good.
Yep.
He's too good at improving Buster Servants.
I'm really going to have to buckle down and get Merlin when he makes an appearance, because I'm already running the Buster Crit Queen, so...
Yeah, like, Jolta is the damage funnel for Buster Crit, more or less.
Yeah.
Unless you've got one that has really strong type advantage for your particular situation.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, so I will probably end up saving for Merlin, because having a Merlin is just so valuable, because that way you can take waiver.
Yes.
You can take waiver from the support list if you don't have waiver. So, yeah, having good supports basically allows you to either double them up or to take waiver if you don't have waiver. If you do have waiver, then you usually take something complementary to waiver, or you can take double waiver. Some people set it up so that when they're about to let fly with all of their damage funnels, they will buff up with waiver, then use Plug Suit to swap in another waiver, and then have that waiver buff up as well. So, yeah. OP supports, man. Quick has been revived more or less in Japan recently with the addition of Skadi.
Okay.
Who is sort of respectably within the baseball stadium of Merlin's power, except for crit servants. The problem is that the base damage on crit is very poor, relatively speaking. Like, it's something like, and don't quote me on this because this is guess figures. I'm not quite sure what the actual figures are, but attack damage after laying aside class modifiers is something like 100% for an arts card, 150% for a buster card, and 80% for a quick card. So you're pretty far down the list as far as damage goes when it comes to quick. So while Skadi enables people who love quick servants to not get wrecked, Buster Crit's probably still going to sit on the top. The problem is that they keep making late end content really, really hard so that they can still be a challenge for Buster Crit people. So if you don't have Merlin, you're going to have an uphill battle. Though I've heard that because they keep trying to find ways to hobble Buster Crit in Japan, in the current content for Japan, apparently there's been a sort of a gradual move that with Skadi, crit builds which use quick servants are coming into the fore, and the most reliable comps have become art stall ones that basically have managed to balance themselves such that you can survive anything. And so, you know, 134 rolls around and your Jean will strike the final blow with a normal attack sort of thing. But you were never in danger.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Whereas the other ones, you go out in a blaze of glory or you win. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a 12-day event, I think, which seems short, but I'll have to focus. I think I've got about 32% of the missions done or something like that. Things seem to pick up in speed later in the event once you sort of get over the hill of mandatory story events draining your AP. It's got a lot of sort of pseudo raid bosses. They're not actual raid bosses where the community contribute to the HP going down, but you do have to fight bosses multiple times, and there's no BP to stop that from depleting your AP, though thankfully each attempt only takes about 10.
Yeah.
But the division of bosses into multiple raid attempts means that if you are patient and or have enough golden apples, even if you're really bad, you can probably still whittle the bosses down eventually and complete the event.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it'll take you a while if you're really bad, but yeah.
Anyway, I think I'll probably leave it there since I've been nattering on for a while.
All right. We should probably take a break.
We should. We're at an hour 10 at least, maybe an hour 20, depending on when we started. So, we're going to go to a break, and we will be right back. And we're back.
Yes.
So, we were near the end of Vols week. So, do you have anything else?
Nope. I am elbows deep in a carb country now, so...
Oh, well, you're doomed.
Yep. Doomed.
Doomed.
Yeah, you're not coming out of there for at least 30 minutes. Anytime you go into a cob country, you're stuck in a corner forever, trying to just kill them fast enough to get out of the corner.
Yep. I seem to have hit a game-breaking bug here. This is fun.
Oh, fabulous.
I can't progress with this quest anymore. Alright. Well, that's fun.
Oh, dear. All right. So, I guess we'll move on to my week then. Which, unfortunately, doesn't have a whole lot. This was one of the business in a while.
Well, you're cutting out again.
Ah, dang it. Pickle.
Pickle?
Pickle.
Your internet is doing you bad.
My internet says it's fine. It's been green the whole show.
It lies.
This is something else. That's worrying.
Hmm.
It's probably just not picking me up.
It sounds like the exact same problem you've always had from where I sit.
No. Well, I'll look at it later. But, so, this has been a busy week. I had enough time one evening to come home from work, sit down for about an hour and a half, play some Dragon Ball FighterZ to poke at the new characters a bit more, then have to go back to work, and this was around 1 a.m., and work all through the next day. So that wasn't fun. I have attempted to go through the classic Mega Man games, and have not been very speedy about it, despite them only taking about 45 minutes each.
Mm-hmm.
This was supposed to be like an afternoon project, but I've just been busy. I have not had any time. Have not have any time? Shows you how tired I am. Have not had any time.
I can words hard.
Yep, exactly. So, yeah, it's mostly just been a lot of work. A whole lot of people not giving me all the information and making me have to turn around and literally move across the state because they didn't tell me something. Usually this time, it's been from people not inside my company that have neglected to give me information. So I expect that from outsiders. I only really get mad about it when it's people that are at the desk, like 10 feet away from me, who just don't give me what I need.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's been rough this week. What else did I do? I didn't really do anything else. That was kind of it. I played a little bit of Pikaman.
Yes.
On the go. I played Pikaman Alpha Sapphire, and I still don't like this generation. It's very bad about, laying out in its UI where you're supposed to go. It's got water and multiple pathways everywhere, but still story blocks that you don't know how to trigger unless you pull up a guide. I know I'm right up at the surfing wall where I'm going to be in water the whole time. So, yeah. And on top of it just being, in general, an easy generation, I'm not having a lot of fun after my Ultramoon experience, which was surprisingly fun.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that Generation 3 is the worst.
But Ari, it has racist Pokemon.
Every generation has at least one racist Pokemon.
Right. So I got Ludicolo's pre-evolution, and it looked like a thing that was just a tadpole on a shadowed frog or something, some kind of small creature.
Yeah,
I'm
it's a frogpole,
okay,
tadpole with a lily pad on its head.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is some grass water type that I can drag around for a little bit. And then it evolved, and I'm like, you're going in the PC. You're ugly.
It's a stupid-looking frog with a lily pad on its head.
Yep.
You mean it's a Mexican?
Oh, no,
Pretty much.
Then it evolves.
Then it really becomes a Mexican. There are some
it just becomes increasingely Mexican as it evolves. That's basically it.
Yeah. Don't underestimate Ludicolo, though. It will wreck your face.
Game Freak has adopted the Mexican identity of Ludicolo, and there are plenty of instances of him in official material with maracas.
Oh, yeah.
But you couldn't do that today. You couldn't do that as a new thing.
No, most of it's older stuff.
Yeah.
Hellfire and Brimstone would rain down on you from the SJWs if you attempted such a thing.
What they perceive as Hellfire and Brimstone, what in reality
basically is squealing and butthurt.
Squealing, butthurt, and body odor.
That will get you more attention and increase your sales rather than take away from them.
But provided that you double down.
Yes.
Yes.
Ugh. So, oh man, I'm just not liking this generation of Pikaman.
Nah.
It's just not very good. I did catch the stupid rare Ralts on that one route.
Yeah, you're set for life now.
Yeah, so the game broke as soon as that happened, and because I did it legitimately, I am using it.
Yep.
And yeah, I have a Curalia now, the thing it goes to before becoming Gardevoir, and in the 3D animation, it looks like she's doing the potty dance all the time.
Yes.
I know she's supposed to be a ballerina, but hopping from tiptoe to tiptoe really fast, like without barely picking your feet up, just looks like you got to go to the bathroom.
Yep. That's the gotta pee dance.
Yeah.
I had not heard. I did not heard a Pokemon described as doing the potty dance before.
I would try to dig up an animation for you, but looking for GIFs on 3DS games is like impossible, even for popular ones.
Also, if it's related to Gardevoir in any way,
not impossible at all. Hang on.
Yeah, I wouldn't Google that. Like,
don't do that, Fern. I googled Ralts because I got it at level 3 and it only knew Growl to figure out what the heck it could learn while it's leveling up, or if I was going to have to stick TMs down its throat.
Seriously, dude. Bulbapedia. Don't Google these things.
With safe search on, it still managed to crop up in SFW images.
Yeah, because
of
DeviantArt's a thing.
Yeah. Poor Ralts.
See if it should be animated. No, it's not. Yeah, problem is you go to Bulbapedia. Some of them are animated, some are not.
Yeah. Bulbapedia is a great resource, but it is lacking in a great many areas.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm just not liking it very much, and I've put it down. I'll probably go back to trying to clear through the ZX games. I really need to play those in one sitting because the ZX games are the sequel to the Zero series, and they are fun, but they have a problem. Well, the first one does anyway. I don't know about the second one. Most, exploration platformers, because I'm not going to call them Metroidvanias anymore. I'm done kowtowing to that because it's stupid. Most of those types of games have a map. This invention from like 1900 years ago.
Yeah.
At least. The modern map has been around for a while. This game has what it calls a map, but it's not a map. It's a mess.
It's not Etrian Odyssey levels of mass words.
It literally gives you no information.
Wow.
Like, it's a bunch of 6-sided rectangle-ish shapes. Like, I know that's not a rectangle, but shut up.
Well,
if I said hexagon, it would give you a shape in your head. I want you to think of a rectangle and cut the corners off. It gives you a bunch of these, and it spreads them around. And if an area, like if any 2D screen transitions at any point into another 2D screen, it will draw a line from a randomly chosen corner of that little square hexagon to go to another square hexagon.
Randomly.
Yeah, the point can be the far east exit, and the line will be coming out the west side of the hexagon on the map.
Right.
Like, it does not help at all. All it does is tell you which areas connect to which ones, and even then, it's not a very convenient way of doing that.
Well, that's really unhelpful.
Very. So this has led me to playing it like, the old school pre-map exploration platformers where I need to play this entire game in one sitting so I can get this whole map in my head, or I'm not going to know where I'm going for anything. Because it's not a small game world. Yeah. So the ZX games have been put on hold until I get a break in work. Just because of that map. But I've had many car rides, and I've not had enough, reason to justify purchases on Audible. So I've been just living with my subscriber tickets. I get the free download every month.
Yep.
And I ran out of books. I'm like, okay, I'm out of books. And so I went digging around for free, audio story content. And I actually came across a Scary Story YouTube channel that isn't terrible.
Good grief. Not one that's just recycling old creepypastas?
Well, they do this, but they do this for fun.
Okay.
And they mark them in a separate playlist. So they do exist, but they're called Chilling Tales for Dark Nights Scary Stories. And they do classic horror, H.P. Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe, stuff like that. They do original series writing, series on No Sleep, that Reddit, all the stories that crop up there. And they do small independent stories. And they have this one really cool Southern guy who sounds like a white Morgan Freeman who's like 72 years old. And I love him. He's one of their main narrators.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
So I'm giving them a shout out because they're really good. They have good production values for all this stuff. It's all professional quality. And it's all free on YouTube. You only have to pay for the audio versions on their website, but you can just go to YouTube and tell it to play. And you get it for freezies. And with ad block, you don't even get the ads. It's wonderful. So just giving them a quick shout out because they've kept me sane while I've been driving because I've had to drive a lot this week.
Yeah, I know that feeling. All right.
So yeah,
anything else?
That's pretty much it. We can move on to the email we skipped last week. We were waiting for you.
Yes, indeed.
So, since we waited for you, do you want to read it?
I guess. I've been dobbed in now, I suppose. Alright, so it comes from our good buddy Cerithus, and he says, so, while Ari burns like the Reichstag... What? You can't words. So, while Ari is in Florida, I was going to write Teldrassil, but that would have been bad taste. The writing about Sylvie is real. However, apparently, Blizzard, in their infinite cross-media synergy, obsessed wisdom, decided to elaborate more on putting more wood onto the burning thing. Blah. In the freely downloadable A Good War and Elegy? Is that supposed to be eulogy, or is it elegy?
No, I think it's called elegy.
Right. Stuff gets elaborated on more, which is good because the book doesn't.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Of course. Yeah. Of course, this doesn't help the fact that the writing is bad, characterization is bad, and that Jaina doesn't blast Sylvanas out of the sky at the end of the Battle of Lordaeron cinematic, despite clearly being in range. The excellent writing continues in the expansion proper, with the evil advisor telegraphed being evil in about 5 frames into the Jaina arrival cutscene. I think the Horde equivalent happens as well.
You will never beat the Ace Attorney. That's totally the villain vibe, though. It's from Ace Attorney 6. Like, Queen Garen, have you seen your outfit? You're clearly the bad guy.
Yeah, she doesn't really hide being the bad guy much. No, this happens when the game hinges on the fact that there must always be only war. So yeah, I'm glad we're not alone on that one, that we just see the writing as bad. Like, I read the book to try and glean some answers and see if there was actually some method to that madness. No. Just no.
No, the WoW books always do this, though. Even if they're fairly decent to read, they make no sense in canon.
Yeah, well, this one at least made sense in canon, mostly. It just didn't.
Well, that's the point, wasn't it? It was set up to rectify canon so that it would be presentable to the modern audience. And to adjust the old audience protection.
Yeah, past expansions,
I heard that was the case with this one.
Yeah, no. The primary premise of this tie-in book is the discovery of Azerite and a peace talk between the humans of Stormwind and the Forsaken, which goes about as well as you might expect.
Yeah. Like, if it had happened 4 expansions ago, it might have been pretty cordial.
Well, yeah.
But Sylvanas turned into Snidely Whiplash.
Yeah, well, she wasn't out of character at any point in the book, at least.
Oh, yeah, well, the books are much better at keeping characters in character than a game where you're limited to the POV of the player character, because you can see, to some degree, inside the heads of other characters. Mm-hmm. And you can get what your character, at the very least, if it's a first-person POV, you get what your character thinks they're thinking in a book.
But in the case of WoW, your character is a blank slate.
Yeah, your character is, effectively a disabled person that you've hijacked the body of. In another world, they don't have a character.
Yeah.
Like they are brain dead and you are possessing them. So when you see Sylvanas acting like Snidely Whiplash, the entire community, which are, to this universe, people from outside the world, are just looking in and going, wow, this lady's crazy.
Yep, she is. The book at least gives a little bit of context. Like, if she had some Azerite on her, it could explain the writing and her decision to suddenly set Teldrassil on fire, because it has a mental effect where it's not so much corrupting; it's more perfect clarity, and so it gets rid of all this negative, I suppose, thought baggage, and then brings forth something from the something a bit more of that character. Like a goblin who holds it gets a big boost to his ingenuity, and Gnome suddenly can think 3 steps ahead and in terms of engineering designs. Anduin kind of amplifies his benevolence and his strategic mind. Sylvanas, her ruthlessness. And that's about it.
That's another thing these books are really bad at, is the did he know problem, where there's always something very small, like did they have Azerite on them, that you would need to know to give the scene context, and then the scene works. And often the case is they don't. But
yes,
when you're looking back in retrospect, you're going, did he really know that?
Yeah. So
that is the biggest problem with the War of the Ancients trilogy. The whole thing falls apart when you realize certain characters didn't know things that you have to assume they do.
No, I think the biggest problem with the War of the Ancients trilogy is Richard Knack, but that's some point.
I'm talking about the plot construction, not Knack's terrible writing.
Yeah, and grief, the characters. The characters. Roxagar is the only good thing in that book.
I will never.
Yeah, but he was also Mary Sue.
He was, but at least he was awesome about it.
He was a Gary Stu done okay. Not great, not good. He was readable. I had fun with him in a few scenes.
Considering he was standing next to Ronan most of the time, and Ronan is sort of this entertainment black hole.
Yeah. No fun allowed, boy.
Nope. Whatever he comes into contact will turn immediately into terrible writing.
I don't remember him. That's how forgettable he was. I don't remember any of his interactions with anybody.
Apparently Corielstraz is dead too. I don't know when that happened.
I think that happened during Sunwell, actually.
Oh well. He will not be mourned. Another character that was just really badly written.
Yeah, it either happened during the Sunwell raid or sometime in the interim after. That and
no, hang on. He was in.
No, he's Alexstrasza's consort now, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, he's long dead. Isn't he?
He is also dead. But yeah,
I'm losing track of which ones are dead and which ones are not, because the decision to kill a major canon character for the WoW people is basically a what color underwear should I wear today level question.
Yeah,
I don't care about the coherence of their setting.
Not to mention, ever since the introduction of alternate timelines, mortality doesn't matter.
Yeah,
bring in another one. Oh well, we'll just find a universe where he's still alive, and then we'll do that there.
They just got a different version of him.
Yeah,
because that's what everybody wants.
Yeah, dying is more like being put on a bus and out of the spotlight for a bit.
Yeah, you know Varian Rin's coming back, don't you?
Has that been confirmed? Is that something you know?
I know for a fact because he's dead and they didn't find a body.
Oh, okay.
He's totally coming back.
I was going to say, yeah, he's totes coming back, but he was the closest thing to dead before Illidan crushed Gul'dan's skull that we had in the entire game.
Yeah. But yeah, dead, no body, and he's done this before. So, yeah, he's coming back.
He's got practice at dying.
Especially dying in the ocean.
Yeah, he lived in the sewer for like 12 years, man. I don't know how long it was in canon, but it took him forever for Cataclysm to come out and for him to get out of that sewer.
Yeah.
Or maybe, was it Wrath? I don't remember.
I can't remember. Anywho, let's move on. So the email continues. As is typical, Monster Hunter World released just when my vacation ended. My first impression being that I wanted to strangle the handler because of her squeaky voice. Don't worry, everybody has that impression.
Everybody mashes the options button on PlayStation as soon as her voice thing pops up.
Yep. Other than that, the game seems to be fairly alright, although a bit wonky on the PC controls with all the hotkeys and having insert as the button for chat. Why?
Just...
I
have no opinion on keyboard controls for most games because I usually plug in a controller.
Yeah, you probably should just do that.
Yeah. I do not feel like this game would flow well with mouse and keyboard. I feel like it would work, but there's a certain flow you can get in when all your fingers are on the buttons in a comfortable grip that you can't get on a keyboard for action games, especially.
Yep.
Especially when precision isn't exactly necessary, like in games like Devil May Cry and Monster Hunter. Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Where was I? The grouping is challenging. This one part where where Dauntless had it easier. Form a party of friends, go on missions, easy as that. I actually feel bad for Dauntless. When they started the game, Monster Hunter World was not announced, so they could reasonably be confident that no Monster Hunter game will arrive on the Western market. See Japanese developers' relationship with the PC market. Yeah. This is why Capcom shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the PC market, by the way.
Yeah.
It never ends well.
That is the other thing with Monster Hunter World that's always that little niggle in the back of your head. It's Capcom. It's the same bug that eats at me when I see anything good about the new Devil May Cry or the new Resident Evil or anything else. It's like, it's Capcom.
It's still Capcom.
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was a thing they made in-house. Remember that. Never forget and never let them forget.
Oh, dear. Anyway, apparently it is possible to play the story mode with friends, but everyone has to progress with the story missions until the prompt that the signal flares can be sent before anyone can join. Because cutscenes, yeah. I guess.
This was really bad spaghetti code, IMO. There's no really
we
other
know
thing
that it's
it
not.
could be.
We factually know that it's not. Because it is not a problem in the Final Fantasy event.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No, Final Fantasy events, you can have multiple players in that one cutscene.
They could have done it if they had tried. They did not try.
So it was just Capcom being Capcom.
Yeah, it's just Capcom. Basically. They're Capcomiest.
Yeah, it probably was spaghetti code in the strictest of senses, but it was spaghetti code in the sort of the sense of like, oh well, I mean, we would have had to write one extra line of code, and we didn't feel like it.
We would have had to animate these empty models just in case or something. I don't know.
When whatever the code is set up for this game is like, it's very obvious it's baseline terrible. It takes forever for it to read anything, and it cannot compress anything for crap.
Well, I mean that's Monster Hunter in a nutshell throughout history, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, it's always been this bad.
Yeah, but still, as a newcomer to the series, it's noticeable that you need to fire somebody and get somebody to look at the base code of this game to see if that can be fixed. Like, there are some problems here that are very obvious in just how stuff loads. That is entry-level engine stuff.
Yeah, it's always been kind of long on the load. It's a lot better in World than it has been in previous games, which should say an awful lot.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's always... Everybody that I talk to always assumed the cutscene thing was just more hiccups with the terrible setup of the base code. Because
we've seen now that it's not to do with how they set up the base code. It's just that they only scripted the cutscenes to have one person in them. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So they want.
It's not about the writing of the code. It's about the writing of the cutscenes themselves.
Oh,
because as soon as they wrote a cutscene to accommodate a party, there were no problems.
Yep.
Yeah.
It worked perfectly fine.
Yeah. I see. That's interesting. So they cared that much about their story in Monster Hunter, huh?
No, I expect they just didn't really think about it.
Yeah, they probably didn't.
Yeah.
They probably did like 5 cutscenes without thinking about it, and then when they realized that, oh well, this is going to be a problem for multiplayer, it's not really a problem. Is anybody going to quit playing over it? No. So we don't need to change it.
Yeah, just one of Monster Hunter's many wonky implements.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked a lot about that at launch, I think.
Yep, we did.
The actual launch, not the PC launch.
Yeah, the first launch. So I'm glad that everyone on the PC is actually able to play this game, because I really do like the game. And
well, the
we've
thing,
sunk a
the
lot
thing
of
with
hours
the
into
PC,
it.
like it's great that it's on PC, and I hope that makes them enough money for them to consider making Monster Hunter World like a major flagship.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a branch of their franchise that they are interested in maintaining because it makes enough money to justify it. But I don't really buy the idea of opening up Monster Hunter to modding. Like, you could do great things with it, but you could also just destroy the game.
Yeah. It's always that same gamble when anything gets modded.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's a certain amount of sort of coherency that is required for Monster Hunter to work as an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of, I feel like having certain things be outside your control was a part of that.
Yep.
And modding tends to erode that. Like, it's not actually a problem if somebody invents, like, for Skyrim, this is the God Sword and it kills everything in one hit. It's not a problem for Skyrim. For Monster Hunter, much bigger problem.
Yeah.
But you just gave me an idea on how Capcom's going to Capcom this. They're going to pull it from software. Some guy's going to make a mod that's MH World Fix, similar to DS Fix, that fixed all the engine bugs in Dark Souls and made the load times much better on PC. Somebody's going to make that for Monster Hunter World, make the load times better on PC and make the game much better optimized. They're going to re-release Monster Hunter World as an Ultimate Edition or something, and that's just going to be you pay $15 for the free mod.
I really hope that Capcom, or the Monster Hunter team at least, has a bit more integrity than to do that.
It's Capcom.
Yeah.
Their exec exist. They can hand down any mandate they want if they get an idea.
A bad idea. Why do this, Capcom? Don't do this. This would be bad. But anyway, yeah. I'm glad that at least everyone's getting in and really enjoying Monster Hunter World now. I'm still peeved that there's no... Yeah. Still peeved about the lack of cross-compatibility, though.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a...
absolutely unsurprised by that. Like, the odds that a team who have their heads as far up their backsides as far as network infrastructure goes as the team that do Monster Hunter, like, the idea that they could ever get working cross-platform is just ludicrous.
Yeah, I think they were looking into it, but from what I can tell, again, it's Sony saying no. There's probably more to it than that, though.
Yeah, a lot of people like to play that card, but that is from old news from forever ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't actually believe that anymore. Like, there are so many like rabid Sony haters around that just say, oh, well, Sony's basically this huge obstructionist entity that is making sure gaming gets held back. Like, Sony wants to make money.
Yeah,
they love money.
Why would they do that? That will cost them money in the long run.
Yeah, the only time they made that statement was right when the PS4 came out and it was squashing everyone. That's the only official statement I've seen on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it made no sense to go cross-platform at that point.
It's more likely that they want something implemented which is restrictive in some way, and it's not impossible for scenarios to arise where you've got things like the big evil developer wants you to reach certain standards that they are answerable for, that they are answerable to for. Like, you've got to show them that you can produce something to a reasonable standard, that you're going to be able to maintain this sort of level of network performance, etc., etc. Like, and people may simply not be willing to kowtow to somebody else's set of standards, but they may be implemented with the best interests of the players at heart.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots and lots of possible reasons. The Sony are a bunch of big fat meanies explanation, like that seems dubious to me. Like that's not enough detail. That's a very low resolution explanation.
Yeah.
And if they do have some kind of standard for netcode, you as the consumer want that. Not only because, you're going to get a better experience, but because it makes them have to analyze their netcode and make it better, them being the developers of games in general. And it loses Sony money if they don't have that kind of mandate if they're doing cross-platform. Because they'll get customer service calls that they have to waste money on explaining they can't fix it.
Yep.
Yeah, it is not something that it's just an evil bunch of evils.
Yeah, it is entirely possible that this is just Sony being obstructionist because they're obsessive about defending their brand and their product in a non-constructive way. However, there is no reason to assume that is always the case without any additional data. And I think that people have a bit of a tendency to hop on the hate train as far as that's concerned. Sony are not like Capcom, who screw the pooch in plain view of everybody every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No. They have some spectacular crash and burn sometimes, but generally they're not doing it consistently enough to put them in a bad light to people.
Yeah, like most of the real ardent Sony haters that I see around online they're mostly PC aficionados. So they're more or less going to hate anything that's not PC to begin with. There's not really any reason to assume there's sort of special reasoning at work there.
Yeah.
But yeah. As for your last comment about needing to figure out how camera lock-on works, Zarathus, I use small weapons, and for me, what I do with them that makes the camera kind of behave is use the camera's lock-on as a camera reposition instead of a proper lock-on, because the lock-on function ain't great.
Like toggle on, toggle off, or something.
Yeah. So you flip it on to reposition your camera so it's facing the monster, and then you turn it off.
Yeah, you give it a quick tap.
I never use it at all. I never use it at all. I would rather reposition it myself than rely on that spastic thing. I don't know what it's going to decide to attach to. It could attach to anything.
Yeah, the camera has always been the weakest part, I think, of a lot of Monster Hunter games, but it just kind of decides it's going to go off and have its own little party somewhere else without you.
Well, the camera itself, it's fine. It's just that it has ADD and gets distracted by stuff, and the lock-on feature that it's its best buddy doesn't know how to work.
Yeah.
Like, the camera movement and the way the camera interacts with the environment is just fine. It's the problem that it's a spaz.
It will go wherever it feels like. All over the place.
Pay attention to this.
No.
Look at this thing. Look at this thing I found. Do you want to see this? The monster's eating me, camera. No, you want to look at this.
Look at this bug.
Look at this new discovered track I found. No, camera. Boss over there.
Look at the monster I am fighting.
But yeah, the best way to handle that finicky lock-on system with the spazzy nature I've found is just quickly turn it on, quickly turn it off. Just use it to reposition the camera.
Yeah.
No, I opt for the simpler thing of avoid touching that button wherever possible.
It is a bad button.
Yeah. Monster Hunter World's a good game with a lot of wonky stuff in it.
Yeah.
Lots of room for improvement.
From what I hear, like, wonky stuff is sort of like, that's how you can tell it's a Monster Hunter game.
Yeah, it is. Like, there's been wonkiness all through. They've trimmed out a lot of the wonkiness for World.
There's still plenty of wonky there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you for the email, Zarathus.
All right. Now, let's talk news. There isn't any.
We have... there's small stuff.
There's devil triggers.
We'll do that last, because that's probably the only thing we can go off on a tangent on for any length of time.
Bang, bang.
I guess I'll pull out the two announcements I dug up, since they're super duper quick.
All right.
So, two games I've been keeping people updated on. First up is Hollow Knight. It's coming to PS4 and Xbox One this spring. Yay! PS4 version.
Yay!
I can get trophies.
More trophies.
You have no idea. Trophy hunting. Then I actually have to finish that Steel Soul run I was doing.
Oh, jeez, why? That sounds like absolute torture.
because it's one of the Chivos in game, and that means they're gonna make it a trophy.
That I hate myself trophy.
Yeah, the you play this game way too much trophy.
What are you thinking? Stop it.
And you can't cheat on the PS4. People will know you did it. You can't copy your save file and move it out of the folder like people do for the Steel Soul run.
Yeah, they do.
Just put it back in when they die. So you can't cheat it. Oh, dear. But yeah, I'm actually happy it's coming to PS4. I like playing things on my PS4. I like having stuff in a centralized area of, the stuff I play games on. So if I'm playing stuff on Steam, I'll be playing stuff on Steam for a while. If I play stuff on PS4, I'll usually go on a PS4 binge, and having it there just to pick up whenever I want will be nice. I will probably get it. They're also getting a physical copy of the game, so I'm definitely going to get that out of the collection because I want to support these guys really, really bad.
Yeah, that is nice. I really like the game too.
Yeah, so just keeping you on the running news update for the Hollow Knight. No, I haven't played the new update. I've been busy. The few games I mentioned are quick plays that I still haven't even finished for any of them. So
Halting for the lose.
Yeah.
I know, right? Do not want.
Do not want. Don't adult, kids. Never grow up. Just don't do it.
Just Peter Pan this.
Yeah, just go to Neverland. Never come back. Adult
Land's terrible. If you do that in real life, you end up looking like Tingle.
Yeah,
that's why you have to actually get up and go to Neverland.
And not Tingle Land.
Yeah, you got to find where Neverland is in the Amala network and jump off there. But anyway. So, the other news niblet for announcements is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which I've been periodically updating y'all on, has been delayed again to 2019. Not surprising with Kickstarter projects. This happens all the time. I was honestly surprised it had only been delayed 1.5 times before.
Yeah.
There's a very small delay, and then there was a very big one, and now there's another one. And honestly, 2 is the average number, so we're okay so far. If we get another 3+ months delay, I'll start worrying.
2 is the acceptable number of delays. And the average number of Kickstarter delays is probably sitting around 8.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about games that are not terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is acceptable for me. I want this game to be good. I want them to take their time with it. I'll have plenty of time to play it when it finally comes out. It's just, it needs to get here. So, it'll get here when it gets here. The other thing about it is the Vita port's been shut. Also, not real surprising.
No.
The Vita support has been almost completely pulled, aside from this trickle of online releases and localizations that pop out for random Japanese games. And I am the only person in the West who actually uses the thing.
Yes, you are.
And Castlevania, which Bloodstained is very, very heavily inspired by, is very much so a Western region seller. It does not sell very well in Japan, or at least it didn't initially. It might now, but yeah, it's a Western targeted game in a market that has no Westerners. It makes sense not to spend the money making the Vita port.
Yeah.
So I get why. I'm not happy about it. I do wish it would be like a great game to take on trips, but them's the breaks.
Them's is.
So that is the current state. Sad news for Bloodstained. It was doing so well. I had nothing but happy news the last 3 times I talked about it. So yeah, those are the 2 announcement type newses we have. Somebody else pick something else.
Yeah. So it's been a very sad week. There's this, we had Gamescom and nothing came of it. Nothing really exciting.
Well, nobody announced anything, I think, is the way you can express it. Everybody showed another few clips of whatever, but nobody brought anything new to the table.
We got to see some more Devil Triggers.
Yeah, so there were a few games that had notable content updates. The 2 biggest ones that I want to talk about are Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2, that we got to actually see gameplay from. Do y'all have any other than those 2 that you particularly saw and want to talk about from Gamescom?
No, not really.
No, I'm deeply disappointed by that. I always overestimate what we're going to get out of Gamescom. Like I always assume, oh, this is going to be like E3 all over again, right?
No,
it's never.
it's never.
Yeah. Boy. So, Gamescom happened. We'll talk about the smaller one first that I only really care about, and get it out of the way. So, Resident Evil 2 got a full gameplay demo that showed off a full boss fight.
Neat.
You have a ton of health in that game, or they cranked it up for that demo.
Well, it depends. Who was playing it?
Don't know.
Well, broadly speaking, then, games journalist or not games journalist?
Probably journalist.
Then they've cranked it all the way up so that it actually be playable.
I'm saving this joke. I'm saving this joke for later, though.
But it makes itself.
There's a pertinent testimony that I think it was something that Brandon Orselli said. He's the EOC of Niche Gamer. I can't remember what game he was talking about, but it was something pretty mainstream, and he was at an expo or at a developer or publisher thing where they were showing off the game, and so he picks up the controller, he starts playing the game, and he's like, there's this guy from the development team, or at least the floor team or whatever, probably a bit of both, started hovering around him and asking him if he needed any help or any assistance, and he's like, nah, it's a I can't remember what type of game it was. Let's say that it was a Mario game. It wasn't a Mario game, but I need something to fill in the space. So he's like, no, it's a Mario game. I know how to play those. It's fine. But like, it was something really simple and self-explanatory, but the team on the floor were used to having to hang over the shoulder of the game's journalists who were trialing it and explain to them how to play. That was the norm.
Yeah. Says it all, really, doesn't it?
If it wasn't for like the past year of stories being written up about like the Cuphead demo and stuff, I would write this off as like, oh, maybe there's reviewers that are playing outside their genre that show up to these things because they had a limited number of press passes they could get. There's a couple justifications I could make up for it, but no, the Cuphead demo exists.
Mm-hmm. And it does, and it really shouldn't.
And it takes all credit away from any of those that I could try to dream up and play devil's advocate with these people for. Just ain't happening.
Just don't.
So yeah. Standard Resident Evil stuff. It looks good. It looks really pretty. The Resi 7 engine, now that they're starting to really get their hands on it, that they're using also for Resident Evil 2 Remake and Devil May Cry 5, is really coming together as a solid engine. It was pretty good in Resi 7. It was really good at the time, about a year and a half ago. But they're really starting to get their hands around it and can do some really cool lighting effects with it and just standard gameplay. I'm really impressed. It looks cool. I don't know how flexible it is. It seems to be locked into that kind of realistic art style and only supports models that really work like that. You might be able to work some cel shaded stuff into it, but it seems very realistically proportioned with what it supports. But for what it does really well.
I suppose there is one big question over Resi 2. What's the voice acting like?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was okay from what I saw.
That's wrong.
Jill was mediocre to not very good, but she wasn't bad. And it was only a few lines, and they were panicking before the boss fight, so it's not a good sample to get what you're going to be going through the game with.
That's a shame. I'm just so used to the early Resi games with appalling voice acting.
The Jill sandwich.
The Jill sandwich.
Gesticulations. Just the waving of the arms like it's Stan.
Yeah.
Jill, you're the master of unlocking. You are almost a Jill sandwich.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, I know the meme, but I'm like, I still don't understand it.
It still makes no sense.
The Jill sandwich comment was in a collapsing or crushing room where the walls or the ceiling was coming in, I forget. And Jill escaped, and Barry runs into her and he goes, "You are almost a Jill sandwich."
Yeah.
And you unlock your first door in Resident Evil 2, and Barry comments to you if you're playing Jill, he's like, "You're Jill, the master of unlocking."
Yeah. It's bad. It's really, really bad, but that's half the charm.
Yeah, those are the two most infamous lines from Resident Evil 2 in the original. I wonder if they've kept them in some fashion.
I really hope they have. It just wouldn't be the same without that level of rubbish.
The only complaint I had was the delivery of the voice acting in it, in the demo we got, where Jill is like, oh, it's another monster. It's like she's doing this post Resident Evil 6 instead of Resident Evil 2, and she should still be fairly new to the crazy monsters. She's like, oh, it's a monster. Oh no, I need to figure out what to do. Like, no, she's not monotone, but she's like, oh, it's just another day on the job.
Just blasé.
Yeah. Like, oh, gotta find a solution to this problem. Let's look over here. Is that a fire extinguisher? Does that work?
I'm going to rub things against other things and hope I find a solution.
Yeah, that was the only bad part of the demo. The rest looked like Resident Evil. Standard third-person Resident Evil, which I'm happy with. Yeah. And first person was nice for a one-off, but I really hope they don't do it too much. Maybe one or two more. I assume the next one probably will be to key off the success, but after that I hope they start moving back towards more third-person games.
Yeah.
But not the tank controls.
If the game... It depends on how the game's designed. Like, Resident Evil 4 is designed around the tank controls.
But they were always bad.
Yeah, like a doorway was a major hurdle.
Now it's like, I'm not quite aligned correctly.
Now, if you're talking about Resi 1 through 3 tank controls, yeah, those can go die and never come back.
Yeah, yeah.
But 4 onward still had tank controls. They just weren't as bad, and the game was built around the tank controls.
One of these days they might actually find a human being who walks in that manner by bouncing off the walls
and slowly turning around
and shuffle
hug. The shuffle walk.
Yeah.
There's a monster, Jill. Shuffle. Nemesis coming to get you, Jill.
No, I'm a rocket
launcher.
Good times.
Like, the reason Nemesis never runs, he never feels like he has to, as slow as these guys move.
Gotta love the old school Resi.
Just old school Game Jank in general is fun to think about.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, what I saw looked good. I don't have any technical information on the game or information on content updates and stuff. It's been a secondary interest. It has not been a primary one, but I was strapped for interesting content for this Gamescom, so I pulled it out.
All right. What else we got?
And the big one.
Yeah.
Well, the big one for us, because we care about the series.
Yeah. There's other stuff that came out. Like, we don't want to, by the way, acknowledge this idiocy over Cyberpunk.
I kind of do, but not to acknowledge it, but to reiterate my message from last week. Always double down. Never apologize.
Yep.
Yeah. Literally while you were gone, Fern, we just told people that they should double down, and then the apology story came out.
Don't apologize to these people. It's like chum for sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you apologize for something, you are implicitly admitting you done wrong.
Yeah.
If you didn't do wrong, don't apologize.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll leave it at that.
So yeah, the other video game that had significant content shown was basically the one whole entire stage of Devil May Cry 5. They showed us a lot.
IGN.
Okay, so I've been running this meme exclusively. I don't think anybody else is, but the gameplay was not in turbo mode, and that could be for a myriad of reasons on the developer side. And I've talked with a few people, and we're like, yeah, it probably comes out later in development because you got to get the animations fluid and looking right before you turn them up and start moving them really fast and tweaking them.
Mm.
So that could be the real reason.
Not just that IGN are bad.
But I'm going to choose not to believe that because the footage that's going around the internet for the playthrough of this level is an IGN guy. And it's IGN. And he probably didn't turn turbo mode on because he's bad. So, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
the jokes just write themselves, honestly. Just gamesjournalism.jpg.
For some reason, the IGN gameplay is like by far the most well promoted, but other people have played it. Is there anybody who has turbo mode on show?
I haven't had time to look.
All right.
I only had time to watch one trailer, and I didn't think to check. But yeah. So the trailer looks good. Or not the trailer. Well, the trailer does look good. They put out a new trailer, and I'll talk about the trailer first. The trailer gives me a lot of hope for the way this story is going. I was cautiously optimistic, but still adamant about being optimistic when the game was announced. And now I'm off the fence, and I'm actually pretty hopeful for this game. With some of the banter you hear between Nero and the boss, and you see he's lost some of his broody, but he's still Nero and still cracking up and making jokes with the boss. Like, okay, we're back.
The boss doesn't just say if you.
Yeah, and there are maybe a grand total of 3 times in the Devil May Cry mainline series that anybody's sworn, and one of them is Dante making a joke about how he's going to kick Nero's ass if he messes up the next mission, which he then proceeds to do and has to come save the day. So it's part of a joke.
But as far as I'm concerned, if in a setting like that, with characters like that, in a world like that, if you swear, you're basically admitting that you don't have a witty rejoinder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that is the ultimate in failure, basically, is if you have to swear. Because it means you can't be cool.
Yeah.
None of the cool kids swear. They can be smart and sassy without it.
Yeah, Nero swears, on stock stuff that he's had since Devil May Cry 4, but it's never been harder than the occasional S-bomb. And it stays that way throughout gameplay here. Throughout the gameplay, I didn't hear anything like that. But in the trailer, the retort that made me just smile and be like, we're probably in good hands with Inafune back on the team, was when Nero looks at the big behemoth dude and goes, do you do parties? I'm like, okay, I think we're good.
This man has clearly been spending a bit too much time around his mentor.
Yeah. This is probably a bad thing. Well, good for us.
Yeah, it's great for us. Like there's some serious rubbing off of Dante on Nero.
Yeah.
And this kind of will lessen any blow if they do anything to Dante to make him a little more serious, since they'll probably set this game after Devil May Cry 2.
I don't know.
For that, Dante.
He's still rocking that Joey Wheeler face. Like that meme is still going around.
And he's still clearly an excitable, goofball. While he's riding the motorcycle in the trailer, at the very end of it, you see him pop a wheelie, the motorcycle splits in half, and he starts dual-wielding the motorcycle as, dual swords.
Yeah, that's not how motorcycles work.
Yeah, he pulls them out and shows off combos that were very similar to the way Agni and Rudra used to move. And I was really excited to see that. And the whole time he's screaming, going, Yahoo! This is awesome! And I'm like, okay, Dante's back.
Settle down, Dante.
I was like, yes, he's back. And that's really what I care about most of this series, personally, is that the characters, I don't care if they all die at the end of this, as long as their last game is a good representation of these characters.
I think you would be sad if they all died.
Because there would be no more.
I would be sad their story's over and that we won't get any more. But if they must go, I want them to go as themselves and not as Dino.
Yes.
I'm not satisfied. I want an inversion of the mop joke.
That would actually be kind of funny. I'd love to see that.
I want the developers to absolutely piss all over anybody who liked Dino.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just
because there's a reboot like that was made on someone's advice, and that person needs to never work again.
Yes.
What's his name? He has a Spanish influence last name, I think. I forget his name. The douche canoe who was the head of all that stuff. I'm brain farting on it.
That's probably a good thing.
To meme that Jack Waffle. I want to see something thrown at him. Throw any jab at him, and I'll be happy. Any decision that he tweeted about being a great idea and his personal pet baby, including the mop scene.
That mop scene was just a spit in the eye of everyone who loved the series.
In Gamer Brit's hype video for when the announcement made, he's edited the word sales onto the mop, and he plays an abridged version of that scene. And when And when Dino takes the mop and throws it on the ground, it's still got the word sales photoshopped onto it. And the word Capcom plastered on his jacket in Photoshop. For when that scene happened, I'm like, that is exactly what happened.
Yep, it is.
Like there is a time where you should apologize, and that's when, you know, the sales figures show that nobody likes your game.
When you really and truly screw the pooch.
Yep.
Yeah, like one person complaining on Twitter does not matter. Like 100,000 people not buying your game does.
Yes.
Especially if they have good grammar and are telling you fairly reasonable things. The grammar is really what gives it away. If there's a semicolon anywhere in their response, you can probably take them seriously. I'm not even joking about that when I think about it.
Yeah.
So...
But Ari, what if they have like early 21st century text speech on it?
No, they have to use real English.
Actual words.
Yeah, actual words.
Does anybody actually use that type of abbreviation anymore? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. It tends to be popped up more often than not on Twitter and when used on mobile phones.
I guess I follow the wrong Twitter.
It's because we're old and actually value having a language that's functional.
Yeah. We're not the demographic of people you follow to see people get angry at people or to get angry at people.
Get off my lawn.
We don't type like that.
I get angry at people who are on my lawn.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, I'm optimistic for this. The gameplay itself looked fluid and smooth. They seem to have fixed... We had like a minute and a half loop of gameplay that was playing that was clearly pre-recorded and set up and scripted for Nero at E3 that was going on. And they had a few things that looked a little weird there, but seeing people actually pick up the controller and play the game plays very fluidly. The scariest thing was how high you could jump in the air with a simple roulette combo in the air by just doing 1, 2, 3 in the air and seeing Nero do his twirly sword in the air and then skyrocket as tall as as high as a skyscraper to keep his air combo going. I'm like, that ain't gonna work.
I don't know. If you can continue to launch them into orbit, it could be just ridiculous.
It would be, but I wasn't a fan of that. And there were a few other small things about how it looked like you controlled the rocket and stuff. But looking at the actual gameplay, it looks solid. All of Nero's base moves from DMC5 seem to be back in some form or fashion, slightly tweaked or, the same. Clearly, this Nero is built from old Nero.
Yay!
So he even still has his, although the Red Queen is different, it's still the Red Queen. You can still just rev it, which is where you press the rev button at the right point during the animation, usually right as it's starting or finishing, to get a free charge on the rev meter, so you get more damage and effects on your next attack.
Mm-hmm.
And you can manually rev it, but you're not going to do that. It takes way too long. Not for a 30% damage boost. You're not going to sit there for 5 seconds.
Rum, rum, rum.
Yeah, you're not going to do that.
No.
But yeah, he looked good. The only wonky thing in the trailer that I suspect is a trailer thing is Nero just has extra arms laying around the level.
What?
Yeah, from what I can tell from the people who have done playthroughs, like, that's part of the game, though. Like, there's no explanation for it. It's just one of those absurd Devil May Cry things you've got to deal with, is that part of the skill of the game is learning how to deal with the fact that you're basically disposing of arms left and right.
Yeah, I can see them doing it. I just don't know how that fits in with his robot arm being what it is right now.
Apparently there's an overabundance of robot arms, I guess.
Maybe there is a lore explanation, we just don't know what it is. I can't imagine what it could be, but it's like I think that what most people have concluded at this point is that the purpose of the arm is to add a gameplay element of sort of like anticipating what's my next arm's function, how should I use the current arm, do I break it away, do I hold on to it and keep using it, which one is next, what tactical options does the next one that's up have, that sort of thing. So you cycle through different functions as you use it.
Yeah, as a gameplay mechanic, I like it a lot. There's a lot of decision making involved in, do I think this situation is bad enough to sacrifice the whole arm and use a stronger move? And then which one do I use? Because a lot of moves make the arm break. And stuff like that. And not to mention the different applications each type of arm has. So I think it's a really cool gameplay mechanic. I just don't know how they're going to implement it in universe, and if they have an explanation for all these arms scattered everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, is Nico just driving ahead of him, tossing arms out the truck as she finishes building them?
Maybe.
It would make as much sense as anything else.
Like, I could just see her tinkering with her hands while driving, trying to find a spot to dump more arms for Nero.
The arm effects do look cool though.
They do. They do not show the breaker effects or the grapple effects off in the IGN trailer. I had to go find a separate playthrough and did watch that bit. And the breaker effects are a new effect where Nero used to have a counter with his Devil Bringer, where he could grab projectile attacks and throw them back. The breaker effect appears to be that for melee attacks now. Big wind-up melee attacks can be parried if you time some move, either the basic function of the arm or something else with it. It breaks the arm, but it puts whatever it hits into a complete stun state. And it's this big, flashy explosion that does a big get-off-me explosion.
Okay.
And it looks really cool. The other effect is... hang on, I'm brain farting. What was the other thing I was going to talk about?
I don't know.
I
can't read your mind, so...
No, I said it immediately afterwards. The grapple mechanics, right.
Yes.
Nobody showed these off at IGN when they played, but there's a lot of footage, and it's even in the trailer. Just like before, we were scared these would be gone because all of Nero's previous grapples implemented the Devil Bringer's ghost arm in some way. No, he's still a wannabe luchador. He can, if he gets enemies into a crumple state, it appears he can grab them and do his trademark grapples, or he can do it to bosses if he gets them in their stun state. And the one for Behemoth reminds me of Super Mario 64 with So Long Gay Bowser. I don't know what it's actually called. Everybody's calling it Behemoth because it just looks like that would be its name, I guess.
It's a big Behemoth.
There was a name for it that I saw floating around, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, there's probably an official name out for it now. But
apparently it's called Goliath.
Close enough.
We were in the ballpark. So yeah, he pulls a So Long Gay Bowser and flips him across the entire battle arena into this clock tower that collapses on top of him and does a crap ton of damage. And that was an awesome part of DMC4, was getting good at timing your counters to boss moves so that you could throw Credo's spears back at him, or doing the super grapple on Sanctus at the last boss fight and shaving off like a whole 2 phases of having to play keep away with him. So... yeah, I'm looking forward to this. They are clearly looking at Devil May Cry 4 going, what worked? What can we improve on? Oh, goodness, Dino was a terrible idea. These are the things that I wanted them to do. If they can keep doing these things and keep those few things in mind, I will be happy with the game.
Let's not do Dino again.
Yeah, just don't do that again. Don't ever do that again, Capcom.
Yeah, that was just bad.
But yeah. So I didn't have time to analyze the gameplay as much as I wanted. I've only got, the face level what I saw. I haven't looked at any breakdowns or any frame data or any animation comparisons or anything like that. I just have not had time this week.
It's pointless to look at that sort of stuff now anyway. It'll all be adjusted before it comes out.
Yeah.
Well, you can get a real feel for how closely they're keeping the characters as far as their design documents look at start to that kind of stuff. And I like seeing the progress of how a game's made, so I like following some of that stuff to see how it changes.
Sure.
But I don't have any of that right now. It's just not there.
What are you going to use? IGN playthroughs?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm sure there are dudes out there, the wiki forums for Devil May Cry are cancer, but they are very diligent about that kind of junk.
They're very thorough cancer.
Yep. About when the DMC5 got announced, there was the stupidest debate on that Wikia forum that I saw and got in the middle of like an idiot. It was how to format. It was how to format the picture on a Swords page.
Oh right, yes.
It was the stupidest thing you've ever seen in your life, and these people were livid about this thing.
Ugh. Yeah, you shouldn't have got involved.
Shouldn't have did that. That was a bad idea. I tell you about my bad ideas so you don't repeat them.
Yeah, if you see an argument on the internet, just leave it alone.
Just don't touch it. Like WoW, don't touch it.
You keep reminding us.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep reminding everybody too. I ain't going to stop.
Just careful, if you keep it up, people might just start taking it up out of spite. Do not underestimate spite.
No, this is genuine concern I'm putting in these words. I'm making sure that's radiated every time. Don't do it, it ruins your life.
Dear. Anyway, do we have anything else?
That's it for my Gamescom stuff. Those were the only two things I had.
Yeah.
Agatha still has no optimization in this version.
Oh, right. So you walk in there and everything just chugs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horribly.
That's Agatha. In that case, I think that's about it for the show. Unless you want to talk about the Hyperdimension Junior waifu app.
No, I don't want to talk about the waifu app.
No.
No good can come of such a thing.
No, they never do.
The only other thing that's been of any note this week has been that GOG set up a website that says we don't like DRM, but that's been their thing for years now, so it's not new news. They just have a website they're affiliated with now that actually says FCK DRM.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to be so crass all the time. It's undignified.
But yeah, it's just some movement to remind people that DRM's a thing made by a bunch of the people that were making that a really big deal for a while.
Yeah. Just stop apologizing for things. We love you, CD Projekt Red, but don't cave.
They already did. I don't understand why they would. It makes me worry for them, frankly.
Yeah.
They've got somebody inside who's, basically an ideologue entryist.
Well, I've heard rumours that they've got a couple of PR or social media people, one of which is just, a gamer, and the other one's one of them.
One of them.
One of them.
We speak of them only in hushed tones. We don't give them publicity.
Yes.
And they are evil most foul. And to think, once upon a time, like 5 years ago, I said it's probably not that big of a deal. They can be that if they want. I didn't know Gamergate was coming then. Yeah. I didn't know all the stories.
There are rumblings of people who think that there's, a non-zero chance that we'll see another Gamergate emerge.
Yeah, except the media angle probably won't be as prominent.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, we don't know what would happen in that context. We don't know how it will be oriented. But the on the ground reality is that people don't like being preached to by these people. And if it exceeds a certain amount, I think that it will be a silent. It won't be an organized movement, but it will only be called Gamergate 2.0 in retrospect if it does happen. And it will happen on the back of games starting to outright bomb because they're preachy.
Yeah.
I just want, while it's going on at some point, somebody to popularize the term Gamergate 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I don't know. Where does that originally come from anyway?
I used to know the answer to that question. Now I can't think of it.
I've never known the answer to that question.
Saturday Night Fever 2, wasn't it?
I think so. It was a movie. Yeah. Breakin' 2. That's right.
Yeah. Worst terrible sequel name ever.
It's a pretty bad movie from what I've heard.
And that should surprise you. Why? Well.
Okay.
Yeah. We shall see.
So, more of the same from us this week. But we'll keep you updated and keep doing shows until you tell us to stop. Or to stop listening entirely.
Please stop.
But I have good sources that say at least 3 of you still listen. So that's not 0.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dearie me. All right, folks. Email topic of the week. Did you see anything at Gamescom at all?
No, I actually entirely forgot it was actually going on.
Like, I've seen more things titled with DMC5 in website headlines than I have with Gamescom.
Yeah, Gamescom is just a mention in there somewhere.
Yeah, like this is the place that the DMC5 gameplay from IGN that's terrible came from.
Yes.
Oh, we did forget to mention the best part about DMC that's making the game journos mad.
Oh?
I forgot about the music.
Oh yes. Go ahead.
So we'll go out with this. The game has a new system. Other games have had the system. I think it's been in some degree to Devil May Cry 5. The music ramps up in intensity as you do better in combat, specifically the battle music. And so, Pull My Devil Trigger won't get its chorus until you hit A or S rank, I think. And so, game journos and IGN, who are terrible at the game, are sitting there complaining the music's bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here laughing.
Let's be fair, though. Pull My Devil Trigger is pretty bad.
It's campy bad, though.
It is campy bad. Like,
it's happy edgelord song. Like, it's a contradiction simply by existing.
Yes.
It is meant to be weird and funny. I'm pretty sure, stupid. Anyway.
Pretty sure.
Pretty sure. You don't sound so convinced.
I'm not, but I'm not 100% of anything in anything ever. So
fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep telling myself that. But yeah, you go on the internet right now. You can go to any major gaming website, and you'll see people complaining that the music in Devil May Cry 5 is bad during combat, and you're like, that's because you suck at the game.
Says so.
Like, they were going to keep this feature. You know, this is not a super reveal-worthy feature, and it was just going to be a footnote as part of their system, but people were complaining about it because they were bad. People that play games for a living.
Play in giant air quotes.
Yeah.
When they're not just ripping off YouTubers.
Yeah, the Dead Cells review plagiarism controversy made me lol too, but there's not enough info on it to really talk about it.
Yeah, well, we kind of touched on it. The guy got sacked, even though he's still failing to admit fault.
Yeah. So, yeah, game journals are just bad, folks. Find somebody that knows what the series you're looking at before you listen to any game journals. It's the best thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. Well, the point, anyone who actually promotes themselves as a games journalist, just avoid them.
They're just bad at their job.
Mm-hmm. And with that, let's get out of here.
All righty. Closing comments, go.
Game journalists are bad. I'm not going to have a whole lot of free time in the next few weeks, I think. Not looking forward to it.
Does anybody remember how to use the postal service in this game?
What is this postal service?
Alright, it was a little wonky, wasn't it?
I decided that I wanted to get actually decent base weapons to upgrade. So I bought some on the auction house, probably from a ridiculous price that I don't know it will care about because I don't play this game. I can't work out how to get the things I bought from the auction house.
Come on, given Funcom lately, you probably have to shell out $5 to access your mailbox.
There might be a mailing delay on the mailbox.
There might be, but I don't know.
They don't tell you these things.
It could be a thing they did not tell you about when they implemented the pay system.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, I remember a mailbox in Transylvania.
I'm just up to the Akab.
Yeah, I don't remember where it was in Engine Land.
Right.
Alrighty, folks. Yeah. Bang, 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 pull my devil trigger. We'll be keeping you updated on DMC5, or I will be at least, because I'm really looking forward to this game now.
Yep.
So I'll add it to the list I keep tabs on and let y'all know about. So I think we're done.
We done.
We will see y'all next week. Sayonara, bye-bye.